All right, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Paul Talk podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to have Graham Halliday in the day, the winner of Hyrox Glasgow and 5th in the World Championships recently. Graham, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm enjoying this weather. I've been burning my baldy napper a fair bit though. Before we start, I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsor, SIF Online Coaching. If anybody's seen my Instagram recently, I've done a few wee kind of videos. I'm doing an 8-week transformation kind of thing with Scott. It's well worth looking at. I think I'm £9 down in 3 weeks. Me and Graham will maybe talk about this, but go and check him out. SIF Online Coaching on Instagram. So, mate, how's things? I've been buzzing to have you on. I've been telling my mates and stuff. I was so happy to have you on that it's just literally, I love Hyrox.
It's good.
I think everybody gets stuck right into it.
You get a buzz for it.
And then getting the guy that's 5th in the world, best in Scotland. How's that
in the
feel?
UK.
Best in the UK. Best in the UK indeed. How's that feel?
Feels good, especially like see it being my first season in. Like it feels good. Feels right.
We're going to touch on Hyrox later on because it's honestly something I love. I think it's brilliant. But where did this journey start for you? Obviously you're a PT, you've been a PT for years, you've got your own gym. How did this all start for you?
As in terms of like just the gym itself?
Just
or
getting
just
yourself into
in
fitness, because I've seen stuff before where you weren't hugely into sport. But how did the fitness stuff come about?
It was kind of just like, I liked CrossFit, but I was never really technical enough to go into CrossFit. Like now I'm probably more technical than ever, but that was just through practice. But it was mostly started off with lifting weights. Went through lifting weights, and then I was dabbling in like Metcons, like maybe 10-minute finishers, 15-minute things, and it led to 20. And then me and my pal Michael, we ended up just taking things to another level. We were doing like 5 hours on a ski erg at a time. We ended up just like, it was just building up. It was literally just volume. For like one Saturday, we'll go in and we'll go, what do we do? We started off something like, it was just basics as well. It was like 10k running, maybe 5k of skiing, and then we started building up, and then we were like, we wonder how far the ski will go before we can actually get it reset. So we just sat for 5 hours, 45 hours, and we ended up breaking the ski at like 50k in. But we done the bike with that as well, but we didn't break the bike yet.
That's ridiculous. I did yesterday. I did 5 sets of 3 minutes as fast as I could on the ski erg, and I felt sick. I don't know how you managed to do 50k.
It does that, but obviously your pace will be a lot slower when you're going for 50k.
How did it all start for you when you were younger? Because I know, again, listening to some of the stuff that you've been on and spoken and stuff, that your mum got you a multi-gym when you were like 10, 11 years old. What 10, 11-year-old thinks, I'd like to get a multi-gym?
I don't know. I think I was just always one of the wee guys that just like kind of went about, just always had like a six-pack and was just into fitness, climbing trees, playing gang up tig, that sort of thing back in the day. And then eventually, I think I just got a magazine. I'm pretty sure it was Arnold. And then for there, it just stemmed. Like I was like, I want to start lifting weights for like 10 years old.
Have you seen the new Arnold documentary?
I'm watching it right now.
It's brilliant. I literally just finished it the other night.
Story.
I mean, as you can tell, I'm not into lifting weights or anything, but even watching it, I was like, I could lift some weights. Where does it lead for 10 years old, 11 years old? You've got a multi-gym. Because you can't really join a gym at that age. Where did it lead to you joining gyms and starting to get properly into your fitness?
So it started off, obviously the multi-gym was like, that was the main thing. That's what it started. And after that, I think I was 14, I was able to join a gym. So I started getting to gyms in. But I've always done some form of fitness, but it was mostly like weight training. But when you're younger, you don't have a clue what you're doing. You're reading magazines, and half the magazines don't really have a clue what they're like, how to program properly. But after that, it was basically weightlifting. Went to college when I was 19. I got the sack. I was actually a vehicle spray painter for 2.5 years. I got the sack in there. And that was because I was turning 18 and I asked for my wages to go up. Believe it or not, I still stick by that to this day. And then I asked that on a Tuesday, then it came to the Friday and they're like, we're going to let you go sort of thing. And then that's how I ended up going like that. I'm going to just apply for college, go for there. Then it was like 2 months later anyway, and I was into college, and that's how it began.
See, you've done your qualifications. It was like the HNC and HND and stuff you've done. You've had your few years of saying you're reading magazines and doing all that stuff. Do you feel like after getting into that you had a good understanding and what you were doing was possibly pretty decent? Because like you said, when you start, you really don't know what you're doing.
I think the magazines helped to a certain extent, I'd say, but like getting into college is like a different level. Like I thought like I don't know about most people, but some people I've spoke to, like, have went to a different college, have said, like, some of the lectures weren't that helpful. But I went to City of Glasgow, and I thought, like, I had quite pretty decent lecturers. They definitely helped everybody who wanted to improve, like, excel, I'd say. Definitely.
You touched on it there with like the programs you were getting magazines. Something I was going to talk about later on, but since you mentioned it, I'll bring it up. You see a lot of a big boom in online coaching in particular right now, and I know you do a bit of online stuff and you do your classes at the gym. Do you feel that there's a lot of stuff that's just far too generic? So I've done a couple of things where, again, I don't know a great deal about it. I'm more like football and running, but you've done plans, and I just feel like it's not really suited to the individual when it's a generic plan.
Aye, like, you can get that, but like, I think for the best, like, for the most part for people, is like, you probably need the basics, like that. Like, everybody needs a basic, no matter like how advanced you are. I think, like, you should always, like, bench, squat, deadlift. Like, it should be generic like that. But like, the way I program is I'll add in something like quite fun, like a Metcon at the end, and I think that's just a better way to kind of program. But I get what you're saying. Like, aye, like, you can just copy and paste it, get to the next person. I think a lot of them are like that. Aye.
What's a Metcon?
Like, a Metcon is just like a metabolic conditioning program, like,
obviously.
or a session. So it could be like cardio, be a mixture of weights, and it could be like for time, or it could just be like just one you work through.
I did a plan with, I don't know if you've heard of the guy, that what's his name, Jay Muskrat, that does a lot of stuff on YouTube, and he was in the Worlds as well, but he's not quite at a level that you were competing at.
Has he got his own podcast as well?
Aye, he's got the stuff. So actually I messaged him months back, just after I'd done Glasgow, and he did specific stuff to me, and I genuinely thought it made some difference. Like, and I don't like lifting weights really. It's not something I'm overly keen on. I like the Hyrox stuff because it's functional, and he did all that, and I thought it was brilliant. And I thought that was a much better way than just going online and going to Google and getting a generic type weight plan, because that obviously doesn't work for everybody.
Exactly, it is. Sorry, what you guys saying?
No, on you go if you.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it is like, see, when it comes to like training, I think like training with like weights and a bit of fitness is like probably your best plans out there. Like functional bodybuilding almost.
I think it's much more enjoyable doing that. I feel like, see, like the sled push and the sled pull. I love all that type of stuff. You were at college, at Glasgow College. How did you get into being a PT? Because I heard you talking before about James English, the podcaster. Go to your first job at Exercise for Less.
He got me my first job. That was, when was that? Oh, so I must have been like 19. I didn't even finish my level 3 yet, but they were doing like a program in Exercise for Less that, like, if you're working towards your level 3, that you can start like PTing or gym instructing. So I literally just walking into train, and I started chatting to him, and he was like, you know what, you want a job? Because he was like what do you call them? It was like the top PT, like the head PT there. So he was able to offer people the jobs and stuff like that. So I ended up getting there and started in Exercise for Less.
What's it like working in a place like I used to go to Exercise for Less in Renfrew, and it's the JD gym, and you see like the PTs kicking about and stuff. And I know you can do different things where, like, you pay a rate and then you can just PT for then, or you can work hours in a place. What's it like working in a place like that?
It depends. Like, some of them, like, see, if you're, I think you get to a certain stage, like, it just depends really. Like, so see if there's like if you've got a good manager, then, like, that runs the gym, then I think they can build a good team. But I think that's what it takes, is a good manager to actually then build a proper team. But so some places I've worked in that haven't really had that before, and they lack it.
What's the difference though? Like, what kind of stuff? Because I imagine it could be quite catty and bitchy at times, because you're all after the same thing, trying to get clients in, and it's all the same people who are going to be there.
Aye, like, see, when you first go into a place, it can be quite intimidating, especially like you've got people from different backgrounds. When I first went into Exercise for Less, there was people that were like CrossFit focus, people into bodybuilding, then there was people like runners, so it was just totally different. So you kind of had to find your own niche sort of thing. But I don't think I found my niche until like literally last year. But everybody is still after just getting a client in there and like kind of fighting at each other. But at the same time, if you've got like a good bunch of PT and all you get on, like, you are fair enough to say, like, look, you take this one, I'll take that one.
How do you, like, I've never done to approach me at the gym, which I'm hoping that means that they think, oh, he doesn't need too much work. But do you just go up and say to somebody, like, or would you go up and correct their form and then say, if you maybe need a wee bit extra help, then
You could do it like that as well, but 9 times out of 10, I've mostly just people just contact me through social media. But it is nice always to go up and say that. But a lot of people don't like that. Like, see if you're in a gym and you think you're doing something right, even though if you're not doing it right, and I come up and go like, your back's a wee bit curved, try this, try that, you might take that the wrong way. But whereas somebody else might go, oh, that was actually quite good, and then contact me.
I see it. For me personally, I'm a type where I don't have that big pride thing at the gym because I know I don't really know what I'm doing. So see if somebody would come up and tell me, but I can imagine it'd be an issue. Exercise for Less, how long were you there?
3 years I was there.
What's it like working in a place like that for that long? Because I know you hear people saying, like, obviously you've got your own gym now. People would like to have a gym, but that's, for a lot of people, that's a very hard thing to do. What was your mindset? What was your goals at that time? What did you want to do?
That time, that was always the end goal, was to get my own gym. But it's with my business partner Matthew as well. But that was always the end goal, get my own gym.
What have you? Do you do anything else at that period, or were you trying to build up any money to get a gym at that time? Because you're still, you said you started at 19, you're still a boy at that stage.
Aye, literally. So that was the focus, just save up as much as possible, work as much as possible. But I think I got to a certain stage of the last, basically since COVID, we'll probably touch on that as well. But since, like, just try and build up as much money as possible. But you get to a certain stage where, like, you can only take on so many people before your business starts to, like, go backwards or down on itself, because you can only focus so much, you know what I mean? Like, on like so many people. See, I've got like a good, like 30 clients. Maybe that's like a good capacity for me. 40 might be enough for somebody else or whatever. But like eventually, if you take on too much, you're starting to tire. Your program's starting to tire. Things start to go kind of downhill.
How do you manage 30 people? Like, because to me, even though again touching on the online stuff, you can have dozens and dozens of people. How do you manage to get all these people? How do you have the time being in the gym and getting all these programs sorted for people? What's it? Cause I don't really know what it's like.
It consumes your life. I'm not gonna lie. See, when you first start as a PT, like that's your life. Right now, it's just my life anyway, right? But like when I first started, like I was doing like crazy hours, 60 to 70 hours PT a week. But like you have, like you're no sleeping. You're legit no sleeping. It's hard. It's just hard. But
see, like, because you get people who you went through a boom, I think a few years back, where everybody wanted to be a PT, and then like I used to be a barber years ago, and you had that for a couple of years where people all wanted to be barbers. Was the competition pretty tough? And what's, without having to say what you earned or anything, but what's it like money wise doing that?
Like I think, like, see, if you're good at what you're doing, you're a good honest person, you actually want to see people like do well with themselves and like their life. Because I'm not saying I'm a life coach, but like, see, when you change your fitness in your life, like things start to change in your life. But like when you're earning and stuff, like if you're doing like 30 hours and you're charging £30 per hour, you're making a good bit of money for yourself.
I can imagine you've got to work hard for your money. Did you have any other jobs during the periods, or was it just the PTing that you were doing?
When I was PTing,
just when you were PTing at that kind of early age?
I just went to PT and that was it.
What about when you were doing a bit of bouncing on the doors?
I'd done that when I was in college.
Oh, right.
That's when I was in college. So that's when I was just about to go into PT. But,
what was that like, being a bouncer?
It was crazy, but like I was like 100 kilo when I was 19. So I was quite a big boy. I'm only sitting at like 83 kilo right now, 84 kilos. But not that I had to toss anybody about. I can't even fight anybody. So,
but the size makes it easier not to fight with somebody when you look at you.
But nah, that was just crazy. Like that was just to get money, really. That's all it was, just to get by in life, college, and make money. And I was doing gardening at the same time. So I was college, gardening, and a security guard at the weekend, just to try and like save up as much as possible, so I could just go all in, like as a PT.
Really? So that's quite a lot at that age, and doing the doors that, because I deal with kind of through work, I deal with like bouncers and stuff like that. Doing the doors at 18, 19, that must have been a bit intimidating at times.
It's intimidating. You get people coming up to you and saying, "You look younger than me," or "You shouldn't be in." Like, are you even allowed in the pub?
I don't care if I'm 100 kilos, mate. I'm shaking it right now. You've done 3 years exercise for less. Where did you move on to after that?
I went to a gym called Sweat, literally just around the corner from here. It's called Energize now.
Right.
I was in there for like 2.5 years. And then we were planning on getting a place when I left Sweat, but Sweat shut early, like that closed down. That ended up going into liquidation, so I had to leave there early. So I went to JD Gyms, worked there for like, how long did I work there? Maybe 6 months. And then that's when the new place opened, the first place.
You got your own gym, you and Matt, so I kind of spoke to Matt a wee bit like a while back about, he made up a wee plan for me and stuff, like I said before we came on. He was one of your first clients at Exercise for Less. So did he not really know a great deal about what he was doing, or was he quite good just looking to improve when you've met him?
Aye, so that's it. He was actually quite good already, but like he seen the results that I was getting with people before. So he wasn't like my first ever client, but he was up there maybe like 6 months in, and I was already starting to create like transformations with people. So then that's when he joined in.
What do you do? See, like, because obviously you get people with varying levels when you're PTing, and you've got your complete novice that doesn't know anything. Is it easier having somebody like that, or is it easier, say, Matt was already quite good, so easier having somebody at the other end of the spectrum who is actually really good at what they do, and are you just tweaking wee things, or is it harder to kind of coach them?
It depends what level they are. Like, see if it's like a proper elite athlete, like it's hard to coach them because it's just like fine margins for them to get better. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've got a 10k in, let's say, like 33 minutes, it's hard to bring that down, especially if you're lifting heavy weights at the exact same time. Do you know what I mean? Not the exact same time, but you know what I mean. But it's probably good to have like a total beginner, because then you can teach them like the proper technique. You just start everything light, just get moving properly. But I like the both. I like the,
I suppose
mix.
it gives you a bit of variation, doesn't it? Well, a complete novice and starter, do you get a lot of enjoyment out of seeing somebody who starts to realise things like, I mentioned obviously with the reintroduction there that I'm doing, it's like an 8-week transformation plan with a guy Scott and pals with, and like I'm fine in terms of fitness. Like I played football at a decent level. I was like a 17-minute 5k and stuff. I was a decent enough runner, so I understand the basics of how to exercise and how to look after yourself. My diet's a shambles. Like, I mean, McDonald's, I pretty much keep them afloat. McDonald's and KFC are all I eat. I've realised through this, the nutrition and like tracking calories, because obviously it's a kind of cutting thing for summer or whatever, like a holiday you go on or whatever. And I've realised just how shocking my diet was, but also how little protein I was getting in my diet. Is that something you enjoy, being able to strip somebody right back and just being able to show them the whole process and talking them through it?
I actually, like, if you strip somebody right back when they first come into you, it's probably the hardest part, to be fair. Like, see, trying to get somebody who's already created the habits, like eating McDonald's and KFCs like every other day or whatever. But once you see that change in them, they're like, I didn't know how many calories were in this. I didn't know there was only 2 grams of protein or something, whatever in this. Like, see, when they start to notice things like that, it's then good when you start to see their body transform and their fitness get better as well, because you know everything's just starting to click. It's a good feeling.
It's like you said, you're not a life coach, but I think that, see, if you get your fitness in check, it starts to work your mental health side of things.
Definitely.
And is that something you see in the gym, where you maybe have people who are quite low, I suppose, and no lighting themselves? Do you try and kind of talk to them? No being a psychiatrist or anything, but do you speak to them about that side of things and like try and encourage them through? Because you've got a lot of people who you must get that you're like, I know this person's not going to stick this. Is there anything you would do to try and help them through?
Like, there's wee things that I would try. Like, I've got, for instance, I'll no name, but I've got somebody right now, but he's no new or that. But he's kind of gone through a stage now where he's struggling. So I'm like, I was at a point in my life once before, right, that where I was struggling. So I was like, this is what I done. You can try that. But I was like, but if you're at this stage, then maybe you should seek like getting more help, because obviously I'm not the guy to help change your mindset like that. I can try and help, but you want to get professional help if you're going down a loop.
If you don't mind, I'm just going to go back to that. So you said you were at a time in your life where you were probably struggling and stuff. It's good for people watching who, I'd imagine people watching this who see your Instagram and stuff will be fitness-based people. What did you do to change your mindset and make things better for you? Because you're obviously, without knowing a great deal, you're obviously in quite a good place right now. What did you do at that time to...
Really, it was fitness, like just training like 3 to 5 times a week is what legit like changed my life. But I always like, I'm into like motivational speeches and stuff like that, so I like listening to them. I know a lot of people on there, but like that kind of pepped me up a wee bit. So see, whenever I felt like I was going like downwards, I was like, right, just pop something on, listen to it, or read a book. Like, there's tons of books out there, but they kind of getting bad hype against them right now, but I'm still up
I
for
think
them.
if it works for you, it works for you. If it
Exactly.
doesn't, it doesn't. But
Exactly.
is there any kind of motivational speeches or books that you would recommend for people that are possibly looking for? Because I suppose that, even though you're getting bad hype, that is a massive thing right now with people, and it's a huge business, I suppose, with that type of stuff.
I think a good one is like The Power of Habit. That's quite a good book. Or else Atomic Habits.
Aye.
That's two books that kind of just sprung to mind there.
Something I found with, I've not read them, but I know both books. One I did a while back was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Read that, Mark Manson.
Aye, I thought that was really good. It's actually, I think it's a Netflix thing.
It is actually. Well. I watched it, but I preferred the book.
I've not seen it yet. I was actually looking at watching it, but like, see, for me, and like, I read Goggins' book as well. I was kind of going through a bit of a tough time maybe 3.5 years ago, and I remember at work now that I was struggling, and I was ultimately now looking at it, I was quite weak in my mind, where I was like, I can't do this. And then reading his book, you're like, that's where you get your growth, is seeing you're uncomfortable.
Exactly, that's true.
And you'll know that for your training, particularly because in effect, you with Hyrox, you're world class, and you don't get to that level without being able to push yourself through certain things. I'm going to touch on Hyrox maybe in a couple of minutes. You've done all this hard work. You've been away and travelled as well. How did you and Matt end up getting together and deciding to start Elation Fitness and open the gym up?
Because we were like training together. We eventually like see sometimes like when you're a PT, lots of PTs don't know this anyway, but you end up starting to like become dead pally with your clients. So we end up just training together, and it became a thing. We're just training together, and I was like, look, I'm going to try my best to help my gym, but I'm looking for help for somebody to kind of like help me towards building like a proper brand. And then it was literally just a conversation like that, and that's how it went. Then me and him just started driving about places and asking like what units were free and stuff.
I was talking earlier about, as a boy, I played football with down in Greenock, and he's got his own gym, and there's another boy, Chris Miller, he played at a good level of football as well. Two of them got their own gym, and it looks quite similar to yours, to be honest. Down in Greenock, it looks really good. For me, I don't really know the whole ins and outs. How do you go about getting a gym? Because it must cost a fortune getting all the equipment in, getting a space, your rent and everything. How does that whole process start?
So you probably need to save up quite a bit. That's what we had to do. We saved up, like he worked away. That's how he had his money, and I was just always PTing. Like I'm not like a big drinker or anything. Like I probably stopped. I've maybe drank twice this year. But my money just like I just kind of save up sort of thing, and like well, towards that anyway. That's what I was saving towards, because I knew that's what the plan was. But I'd say like get a good bit of money behind you. It doesn't even have to be massive amounts, but it's still a lot of money to be fair. But if you get like, if it's you yourself, it's going to be harder. But if you've got like somebody else that you trust, and like you've got good communication together, and you can work together. But once you've got your money together, decide what needs done. Like when we went into the first place, we were like, right, what needs done in here? But it was only like an office basically where we started. We've still got that place, but we've added an extension onto it, so it's a bit bigger. But we were like, right, we need to build bathrooms a wee bit bigger, like get the showers set in. So we then inquired about like the plumbing, like all that sort of stuff, getting a water tank put in, so we've got clean water for people to drink out and stuff. So price all that up first, and then you go to we went to a company called Primo, and then we go there, and they're quite good, to be fair. Like if you tell them exactly what you need, they'll come back to you with a list, like with prices, and they'll take like a discount off depending how much you buy and stuff like that as well. But then once you're there with them, they can put you in contact with like a finance company. So you don't need to have, like, say it's like 50 grand to start up your gym. You don't need 50 grand straight there. You might need like 10% of that. And then you put that down, you give them their 10%, and then you make a monthly
mortgage
basically,
almost,
just like that. And then you like select a time, 2, 3, 5 years.
How long did it take you to settle on the first place? You've got a new place now, didn't you?
Aye.
How long did it take you to settle on the first place that you went to? Because you said you were kind of about looking. Did you have a specific area you were looking at? Because you use both for the kind of north end.
Aye, so we're both for that.
So how did you go about saying this is what we need? Did you have something in mind, like a size that you needed to get, or was it just we'll try and get what we can get and then build?
Well, we had like a size in mind which was a lot bigger than the one we got, to be honest. But like I start like both wasn't me. Both of us started measuring things up, like because we went into like a few places and then we went through a full year, right, with Glasgow City Council. Brutal
Bit
to
hard
try
to
and
deal
deal
with.
with them. Aye.
Aye.
But so like we had a unit and it was like I think it was like 1,800 square feet. So it was a no bad size. And then but we had to get like planning permission to call it a gym or like change of use it was. I can't really remember, right? But it was something like that. And then so you pay like a fee, I think it was like £500 to get that change of use. But they take like months to get back to you. So it was like 3 months before they get back to us. Then they come back to you and go, no. So we had to restart again. I tried twice. Your 500 quid's gone. So I tried that again. Anyway, it didn't go through. So we started looking about different places. And then where we are now, the guy in there, he's actually all right, and he's been easy to deal with and stuff like that. And he kind of, I think you can get that off people. You kind of like vibe off him a wee bit, and he seemed all right. So, like, we went to him. He showed us a place. It was quite small, to be fair. Can't mind the exact square feet of this one. And what was it happened? So we went back, waited maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and then we just measured everything out and decided like this can fit in there. We've got 2 squat racks, a lap build, and blah blah blah, and we managed to just make it work.
I can imagine that'd be quite stressful because you're still working at this time, aren't you?
Aye, we're still working. Still need to work because if you're not working, I was still in GID gyms working.
I can imagine that'd be pretty stressful dealing with all that stuff. He's got in November 19. Where was the first venue that you said?
We've still got that one. Still got that.
Where is it?
In Park House Business Park.
And do you still, because I know obviously you've got the newer one, do you still use that as well?
Aye, we still use the two of them. So they're both in the same area, right? Like the exact same industrial estate. Right. It sounds daft, but we're just growing too fast. Right. That we needed a bigger place.
How do you split it between yourselves then? Like, do you have staff that work specifically in one and staff in the other, or do you just bounce between it?
It's quite laid back, so you can basically, if you've got a class on, it goes to the bigger gym, which is Elation HQ. If you've got a PT and there isn't a class on at the time, then you can go anywhere you really want. They're literally like 20 seconds for each other, so it's ideal.
I was going to say, that must work quite well for you then. It must be quite good for your clients, because I know like, you do a lot of classes. Is the HQ one, is that specifically for classes, and then the other one's just a gym that people can go into and use?
No, they're both like you'll come in and you'll only be with a coach sort of thing. So that's how we work it.
What was your thinking behind that, instead of having people being able to go in exactly when they feel like it?
Just because like it means you can manage people better, make sure they're using proper form and technique. Obviously it's still hard to manage that, especially in a class as well, but it's just, it makes it easier for us rather than having like somebody manning the gym the full time, because we've not got unlimited amounts of money like a bigger gym, do you know what I mean? So we have to like make sure our time is like efficient enough.
I suppose it builds a good community, because I'd noticed like I've followed you for a while, I followed Matt for a while, and it's like when you did the Hyrox stuff at Glasgow, you see everybody's there supporting. Like I've got a couple of mates that go to Pack Performance in Renfrew.
I know the boy, aye.
And they're very similar. They do that type of stuff where it's like, it's very much like a community and they all go to it. So I suppose that's a good thing. And it allows you, like the day you've come in here, it's Thursday afternoon, you've had a few hours off as well. So that probably allows you to manage things a bit better when you've got that time off.
Definitely does.
So November 19 you've opened. He's buzzing. He's right in it, first time having your own business, and then COVID kicks in March 20. What was that like for you at that time? Because you've only been 3-4 months, and then you're shut for months.
It was a downer, to be honest. Both of us were hurt like a bit of a downer, but I think we recovered. We adapted quite fast. Like we just went straight onto Zoom. I was like, we just need to do something to keep it as afloat. We're not going under. That's not happening. And then me and him just started taking like Zoom training sessions. And our clients are that good, but like the community we built in that short period of time was just like unreal, because like the support we had for that was amazing.
I suppose that is the benefit of it happening now. If this had happened years ago, you would have shut. But you're obviously still having to pay all your bills when the gym was shut for months. I see that's again goes back to the online coaching. I suppose that gives you that freedom where you can still get stuff done. What was your training like through that period?
So my training got better. That's how I ended up starting to like transition into like getting fitter and stuff like that, because like nobody was allowed in the gym, but it's my gym. I can go up to the gym and train. I was training like 3 times a day. So I would take a class in the morning and then I would train in the gym, and then I'd take a class at night.
Absolutely
like every
flying.
second day. I end up getting the best shape of my life through lockdown.
That's lockdown got you fifth in the world, didn't it?
It's done one of the two, innit?
When it started to open back up, because you remember it was like when you would go to pubs or restaurants and it was like socially distanced. What was that like for you in a gym setting, having people coming back but it all being socially distant?
Aye, that was hard actually, because like you had to like try and make sure like we mapped everything out in the gym. Like everybody had like their squares and stuff like that, like hand sanitizers. They're about anyway. Like but we made sure there was like free to this room, free to the next room. Just like rather than having the one in each room, but the room's only big, like 3 times the size of this wee room. But that was probably the hardest part, making sure you're trying to please everybody, because you don't want to lose members. Like, so some people, you know what it's like some people are taking it dead serious, which you should have, obviously, right? Then there was some people that wouldn't care, so you kind of had to find that mutual between the two of them and try and still make it work
without offending anybody or losing your customers.
Aye.
Yous have built up quite quickly in this period, and even lockdown, and then you've got all the limitations on what you can do. Do you have anything in mind? Like, so obviously the gyms in circles like that now, the gym's pretty well known now, and particularly with you doing well at Hyrox, and it's starting to get even better known. Do you have anywhere you wanted to go or anything you want to do specifically?
Right now, like, I don't even think our gym's at like 80% its actual potential. Like, it's probably sitting about 50 or 60%. Like, we've got, seeing the bigger gym, the HQ, like we've got rooms upstairs we could like utilise with first. Like, see, before anything, I'd rather fix everything at home before I even like go forward. But eventually in the future, I'd like to run like training camps and that, like go abroad. Like, that's the next thing we're starting to look into.
Really?
The both ways, aye.
So what's the going abroad? What do you think we're at?
Like, so you have like maybe anywhere up for 4 days to like 7 days, just like small training camps, maybe before somebody's getting to Hyrox, maybe like a couple of weeks before. Like, we could partner up with another gym abroad, like say it's in Spain, and get them to run stuff for us. Obviously we'll fund them, whatever it is, and get everybody's food and all that together, like just something like that. It's just a thought in our head right now, but I've no full like on it yet.
I suppose there is a market there for that type of stuff. You've got the 2 gyms now, it's doing well. You've kind of done your Hyrox stuff as well, but before Hyrox, what competitions did you do? Like, is it 55 games?
55 games.
What's 55 games? I've heard it, but I don't really know.
So 55 games is like a mixture of like weightlifting and then cardio as well. So I think, I can't really remember the sections, right, but you've got like a maximum heart rate zone, a strength zone, and then there might be like a muscular endurance zone, and I can't really remember. A power zone, that's what it was. And then like basically you'll have time on this workout, say it's like 22 minutes there, then you get a break, go get food and whatever, then you get this, and it's the exact same. It just kind of goes through it the full day.
So how do you, because you won that, didn't you? How do you win? Is it just finishing the fastest, or?
I think it was like pointed on each each one. So I can't remember if it was like you get 1 point and it was like the least amount of points who wins the overall. So say like you came first, that's your 1 point. If you came second, you've got 2 points, sort of thing.
It's quite interesting, because before we touch on Hyrox, you did that. Did you do men's physique competitions as well? What's involved in that?
It's basically just walking on a stage posing, looking absolutely jacked.
Is that where you get the kind of, you end up looking at this table, that kind of colour that you go?
You're mahogany. I'm sure I've got a wee sticker. It was one of my pals that made it up. It looks like I've got the World Cup. Like, my head's the World Cup because I'm just basically mahogany. My ears are sticking away because I'm so thin.
What's it like doing one of the competitions? Because you've got to be like so particular with your nutrition. You're also like, I imagine you're sculpting certain parts, and like in general, say like I'm at the gym and I look in the mirror at myself after I've done a workout, I'm just thinking, that looks better. But with guys like that, you're looking in the mirror and you're going, oh, maybe my left lat's not quite as big as my right lat, or they're not quite even. What's that like in your mindset? Because I've seen things people talk about, like you get almost pretty depressed when you're doing that type of stuff.
Like, you don't realise how lean you are until you actually look back. Like, see, when I was that lean, I don't actually know how lean I was because I never actually took my body fat. but I knew I was lean because like I was like a skeleton. My face was drawn in. But at that time, you don't realise. Like, I was like that, looking at myself and going, I could be doing with this, like you're saying, I could be doing with that. But then see when I look back at the photos, I go, I was like thin as anything, ripped.
I can imagine. Does it have an effect on you psychologically when you're doing all that type of stuff?
I think that took me like about a year to recover from.
Really?
I'm not gonna lie. I done 2 of them. I won one. I didn't place in the second one. That was like the British finals. I think I was 19 then, but that took me a year. Like my full strength, like just went like wasted basically. Like it took me a full year to recover for that. Like I think it was it 2017, and I just hated training after that. Just and that's why I had to find another passion. That's how it led me to go into like fitness rather than just lifting.
Because I've seen things where they talk about that, and like people are talking about how you do get kind of really down on yourself doing that stuff, and clearly if it's taking you that long to get back after that, what does it look like? What's your diet like through that period?
Boring, to be honest. Like I suppose it doesn't really need to be boring, but see if you want to do well in it, you need to just be strict with yourself. Like I would wake up, I'd have porridge, like fruit, a wee bit of Nutella in it, have a protein shake every morning. At that time I ate meat. I've not ate meat since 2017. I think that's how I went off meat as well. So it was like lunch I'd have maybe chicken and rice. Dinner I could have maybe like salmon and potatoes, just like still healthy dinners and stuff like that, but it was just getting boring. Like especially when you get to like your last maybe 6 weeks, like it's just dreadful, to be honest. Like you're eating rice and it's just dry.
What's your mindset like through that? Because it's something that I can kind of relate to. I've never thought a great deal about what I'm eating other than kind of McDonald's and KFC and enjoying that type of stuff. And recently, because I have been watching my diet a bit better, and there's times where I have that struggle, and I imagine everybody who has dieted has that struggle. You're like, I could just have, like, it was my wee lassie's birthday the other day, and she's got a Colin the Caterpillar cake sitting in the kitchen, and every time I walk by, I'm like, I really want a bit of that, but the size of cake I'm going to have is going to be like 500 or 600 calories, and I feel, I can't afford that. I can't afford that on the plan I'm on the now. Like, how's your mindset through that period, knowing that I need to eat chicken and rice again, I need to eat salmon and toys again? How's your mindset through that?
I just think of the end goal. I just think it's like, say you're dieting for 12 weeks, I just go, it's 12 weeks of your life. Just get it done. That's it.
Is that it? Just soldier through? Get yourself through it?
Just get through it.
Because I found, so I did the first week, it's like with this type of stuff, your first week's always, no easy, but probably the easiest because you're so motivated. You're watching stuff like I watch YouTube all the time, so you're watching YouTube videos and I'm like, I'm in for this, I'm good. Lost 4 pounds in the first week, I'm like, brilliant. Week 2 was a proper struggle for me, like really struggled. And then like I started looking at like KFC, and I was like, I really want KFC. And I found the rice box, and I was like, that's only 550 calories. It's rice, salad, and some chicken fillet. I was like, I can eat that. And I started finding things like that, because see if I hadn't, I've been finding it pretty easy now, but see if I hadn't done that, I could not have been able to stick it. And I think that's the hardest part.
I think now, like, it is easier because you can, like, like, if you follow like every fitness professional, they'll tell you like if it fits your macros. So if it fits into your diet, you can actually have it. But I think like if you want to get serious, like when it comes to like men's physique and bodybuilding, like they guys, take my hat off to them, because it's unreal. Because like they need to be dedicated to that. Like that could be the difference of like 0.1%. Do you know what I mean? And that could be the difference of winning and losing for them. But for us, for normal people, like we don't need to take it that far.
I'm going to take a bit of offence to that. You're not putting yourself in a normal people category, right? You're fifth best in the world at Hyrox. You're not having normal people there. I'm normal people.
I've not got a normal diet. I'll tell you that.
What does your diet look like?
Well, every morning I wake up, I'll usually have porridge and Nutella. Sometimes if I have fruit there, I'll put fruit in it, and then a protein shake. Still to this day, I still love that. Nutella every day. Then in the morning, like usually I'll go out for breakfast. Like most mornings, I'll have like maybe toast, poached eggs. But recently I've been having French toast, maple syrup, and fruit, quite like that. And then dinners, it could just be anything, like vegan burgers, salmon, rice, salmon, potatoes, a different fish, pasta.
that's what I was actually going to touch on there. I'm glad you mentioned vegan burgers, because you said for 2017 you stopped eating meat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that Game Changers that was on Netflix, and everybody kind of jumped on the back of it? And I was running, like, in terms of running, I'm not a great runner because I was competing against guys who were like, I'll digress, I'll go back. I watched it and decided for 2 weeks that I was going to try and do no meat and kind of go veggie in a sense. And I did it 2 weeks before the Scottish Cross Country Championships. So at the Cross Country Championships, there was a guy, Callum Hawkins, running, who is the best British marathon runner ever. So right. Callum's no far from me, he's for Kilbarkin. And he was running. So that's the kind of level of people that will run at it. So I'm lucky if I'm middle of the road at that, but I was a decent enough runner. And I found it quite, I don't know if it's because I was fit and my training had been good, but I did the 2 weeks of eating like beans or that type of stuff, chickpeas and all that. Mm-hmm. And I genuinely had one of the best races I've ever run in my life. And I felt brilliant. Wait, I never stuck to it because I enjoy my chicken and all that. Mm-hmm. But how do you get all your, you're talking about macros, how do you get all your proteins and all that and meet the targets you want to meet without a meat diet?
Like I'm not actually vegan or vegetarian. I just don't eat meat as itself. So I'll have like protein bars, protein shakes, but I've kind of turned to clear away because I'm trying to cut down my dairy intake just because I think it's gone for my stomach. I don't know if you get it when you're running. Running struts. They do run to the toilet.
I'm actually, do you know what? I'm going to, before we go back on it, I'll tell you a story. When I was still doing my running, I probably shouldn't even tell this, to be honest. So we were at Pollock Park. I ran for Bellahouston Roadrunners. We were at Pollock Park doing like a mile loop, and you were doing like 6 loops there, and you done your warm up, cool down. So it was like a 10-mile run on. And I had been eating the way I always eat, like my McDonald's, and I love ice cream, Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I'd been eating hundreds of that, and we'd been on a run, and I had like 4 in, and I was probably about a mile away from the car park the motor was in. And I was running. I was like, this isn't good. And I stopped and I was like, I need to go. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, I need to leave. I'll see you later. So I start running back to the motor. Have you been in Pollock Park? And it's got that road that runs all the way through. So it's covered with trees and stuff. And I'm running back. And I was like, I'm not going to make this. So I dash into the bushes and I go as far back as I can. Pull the shorts down. Horrible, right? Just horrible. And I'm like, I finished doing what I had to do. And I was like, that was disgusting. And then I heard 2 women talking behind me. No, and I'd went so far into the woods that I'd nearly came back out on another path. And there was these 2 women walking up here. Oh no, just had a big shit in the woods, and there's these 2 women right beside me. Oh, that's amazing. But my apologies, that's a story I probably shouldn't have told.
Nah, we've all been there. There's plenty of people been there where you're at.
That's something you find now with Hyrox, is you're running up massively for your training doing that.
Oh, aye. So over the last year there, my running, I've only started following a programme since I think it was just before October, maybe 12 weeks before October, so maybe like May, June, around about there. I started following a plan, and since then my running's massively. So I was a 41 minute 10k guy, and now I'm 36ish 10k, which is actually alright for me. Considering you're still trying to lift heavy enough weights as well, so it's hard to find that balance. But I'm hoping to try and take it down to 34. That's what my plan is.
Well, that's pretty solid running, to be fair. It's hard, but we'll move on to Hyrox. Was Valencia your first? Or was it Manchester?
Manchester was my first. Mm-hmm.
You've done the 55. You spoke about CrossFit stuff earlier. New Hyrox. Do you think that why do you think that type of stuff, those type of events, interest people so much?
Especially Hyrox, because anybody can do it. It's open to everybody. I don't know if you've seen it in the Worlds there, but there's a 79-year-old
I've seen her.
granny.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
That's ridiculous. It's amazing.
I would say for me doing it, that's why I'd say I like the sled push and sled pull. Mm-hmm. I think that everything is so achievable that you'd just be slower than somebody, but you can get, because everybody can push something, everybody can pull something. Mm-hmm. Everybody can do squats and throw the ball up, you know what I mean?
Exactly, especially if you enter it in a doubles or in a team, then you've cut half of it down straight away. So
because with the doubles, you still do all the runs.
Still do
the
8 runs,
but then you can split it between these. Mm-hmm. Something I was going to mention later on, you and Matt being mates, trained together and that. Why do you no do the doubles together? It's him and Cal at that.
Don't really know, actually. Don't really know.
Does he like Cal better than you?
He might. No, because like him and Cal like train together as well. Like so that Cal's his client, but they started like doing what I say is that me and Matt started doing. They started training together, and like my plan just went. Mine's and Matt's plan's a bit different. So he's got stuff that he likes to do and focus on. And I've got stuff that I like doing. The training times just don't work anymore. So he trains like maybe in the afternoon, but I'll train like that'll be my second session when I get to the afternoon. So I'll do my first session at 8, whereas he's got the dug and stuff like that. Whereas I've got the dug as well, but usually my mum will come and get her or whatever, I'll take her in.
What drew you into Hyrox? How did you first discover it?
It's actually me and my mate Kev, he works at the gym as well. I just seen it online and I was like, that looks quite good. And I thought it was going to be absolutely amazing when I first started it, my first race. But I just seen it and I said, we'll just apply for it and we'll go for it. And then 2 years went down to Manchester and done it.
Was the Manchester one, did you do the pro for the first one?
The first
what
one.
made you do the pro over just the men's open?
I just thought, why not? Just
go for it big.
Pro. You lift heavy, you can lift that weight, so just go for it. I thought my running was going to be much better, but if you look back at my splits, they're different.
But when you got 102.07 in Manchester?
No, I got 109.
Oh, 109, sorry, I've got
so that's 102.07. Oh, sorry, that was my second Manchester.
Right, sorry. So 109. Even that in the pro, that's for your first time. I appreciate it's not like me going and doing it where you're in the gym all the time and that's your job and it's your livelihood to do that. But 109 in the pro, that's still a ridiculously good time.
It was actually all right. I think that's what made me get like more involved with it, is because I looked at my splits and I was like, right, they're not as good as I thought they were going to be, right? But I don't think anybody's see your first Hyrox, you know what it's like. Your legs are just gone. You think you're going to be running much faster than what you actually are. But I think I placed maybe 16th overall, and I was like, that's actually all right for my first ever pro competition. So I was like, and that kind of put me in for there.
Did you almost go just a Hyrox type training after that, or have you continued to do what you've always done?
So I done mostly like CrossFit stuff, and then I went into London and I regressed and I got a 113, I think it was, or a 112 or a 113. And that was when I was just focusing on getting heavier. Like, there's a picture of me and I do look a lot bigger than what I usually am sitting at if I'm getting to Hyrox these days. But then I was like, right, I knew if I want to do well, I need to kind of zone in on Hyrox. And it was after that, I just thought I'm going to dedicate a full season, because that was me just trying like a couple out. I was like, I'll try this out, then I'll do another one, go for there. But I went, I'll dedicate a full season and then just try and see what I can do.
What kind of differences did you notice, and what was your training like? This is just a good way for me to get a quick free plan after you here, if you tell us what your training was like. What was your training like once you thought, I'm going to dedicate my season to it? What was the stuff like that you were doing?
So I think, see, for everybody, like if you're looking at your Hyrox splits, right, see if you can get them up. Sorry, I just took this off, right? If you can get them up, if you can get your Hyrox splits up, right, and you can look at them, and then you can look at your placements next to it and go, right, I was 189th on my runs, I was 5th on my ski, then you can break everything down, and go, right, that's what I need to work on. So that's basically what I done. I just looked at my splits. I'm addicted to looking at my splits. If I open my phone right now, my splits will probably be sitting there.
I actually looked at mine yesterday because I knew I had you coming on. I looked at mine yesterday, so I get the...
So you just look all the time, but like that's what you should do. Look at your splits, see where you placed, and then go, right, that's what I need to focus on. But mine was basically running, and it still is running, and that showed for that last race and like the World's Manchester, because I was like 10th overall in my runs. Whereas if I upped that by like, because you were only 5th overall in my runs, I could have been like maybe 2nd or 3rd.
Because you were only 17 seconds away from podium.
I think it was like 14 seconds away from third place.
And I mean, so that's incredible, particularly because you look at like Hunter McIntyre. Obviously, he's a different level for everybody.
He's in his own league right now.
I watched the Worlds last year, and I watched this year, obviously in preparation for you coming on as well. And you see that you and him for the first kilometre are pretty close with each other, and then he starts to just go away from everybody. And that he was still quite a bit away from his world record time, and still was like a minute or two ahead. I was at Runkovic, it was second, still like so far ahead. But then you've got like Runkovic and you've got Ryan Kent. I know David McGeady had a bad day, but they guys have been doing this for quite a few years, and you're still pretty new compared to them. Does that give you good hope that you're like, well, I can actually I can compete with these guys even better than what I did in the Worlds.
That's what's in my head. Like, I just think, like, they've been doing this for like 4 years. Some of them maybe only like 2 years or whatever, but it's still an extra year in front of me. So I'm like, that's my motivation. As soon as I finished that race, I can't even remember saying it, but like Michael for the gym, Hannah, my girlfriend as well, they were like, the first thing you said when you get off for the Worlds was like, I need to get fitter. So like that just like straight away, I just thought like, I'm going to get fitter. That was just pure motivation, because I know if I place 5th in my first season, like I can do better than that.
That's the thing, you'll know that you can get a lot fitter than that, because like, you've only had that one proper year of doing it. And I'm going to touch on Glasgow because that's the only one I've ever done. You were 57, 53, was it? 57, 53 it was at Glasgow. How did that feel, winning the home event, the first ever Hyrox event in Scotland, and you won it?
That was my first event win as well, actually. So
was it?
That was amazing. Like, see, because it's your like, it's your home city, innit? Like, it's your place, so it made it even better. But I did say it for the start. I was like, this is the race where I'm getting in for the elite 15, and I was like, I'm there to win it. I knew there was competitors there, like high level, like Tony Revel. He's, I don't know if you know him, but he won. Where did he win? Is it Sweden, Stockholm, maybe? Can't mind. Hamburg, maybe. I can't mind. So he won that, and I knew he was racing against us. And there's another couple of guys there, Ben Spillman, I think his name is. But so I knew it was going to be tough. But I think he got a bad write up, Glasgow. Like, I don't know if you heard about that, but like, a lot of people. Man. I know, but like, no, like the event itself was amazing. But like, see, for like the elite side, so I was getting a lot of like chat about me. I don't know if you know this. No. Like, for the elite side, going like, Glasgow shouldn't have counted because the courses were too fast. There was too many people breaking under the other. So I was getting a lot of stuff, a lot of backlash for Glasgow. But I'm like, I don't design the course. I just show up and try.
To be fair, you've more than proved that you deserve to be there. You know what I mean?
But like, even like up until Manchester, because I done Hanover and I ended up winning Hanover as well.
But 57.35, is that your PB?
That's my PB, 57.35. And then people started talking about Hanover, saying I'm just running fast courses, and I'm like, what chance have I got? So,
see, you're talking about the courses. I'm going to go back to Glasgow in a wee second, but you're talking about the courses. They were talking about, when I watched it, because you have that guy that was doing a commentary that for Rock's Life, and he was talking about Manchester being a slower course. For me, I only noticed like doing a sled push and sled pull. I found what I did at the JD gym, because it's the Astrograss, it's quite easy to push even heavier weights than what you're supposed to. I found the carpet at Glasgow was like really tough, and I had like a big kind of gap bit in mine on the lane I was in, and it proper killed me.
Like the wire?
It just killed me. Like, I was so much slower than I normal. That was still one of my best ones that I did, but I was so much slower than normal. What's the difference for Manchester being a slower course and Glasgow being a faster course?
Like, some courses, they say like the runs are shorter. So like in Glasgow, that's what the write up was. Like, basically the runs weren't a full kilometre.
Is that right?
That's what they said.
Even with the extra kind of half lap you did on the...
Aye, so just each run, it doesn't matter. Like, it wouldn't have added up to like, I think the total run Hyrox is like 8.7. It's supposed to be total, like including like running in it and stuff like that. But I think it was like, that was a write up about it. The runs were a lot shorter, but I don't know. Nobody knows apart for the guy who set it up. But I just noticed I made a mistake. My first win was Manchester.
You had that right there. I had it in there. See, with Glasgow, you're doing that, and you've wanted to go and push because that was your one, and you're saying that you started getting, there was comments getting made about it, and even the comments at Hanover when you've done your PB and you've put a time in that's proper world class. How's that made you feel when people are saying, oh, Graham Halliday's maybe not as good as his times are showing?
Like I've got a strong mindset, see, when it comes to fitness. Like, I've got a strong mindset where I'll go, no, like, you know, but deep in the back of my mind, I was going, am I meant to be in this race? Am I taking somebody's spot and I'm not meant to be here? Am I going to be going here and getting embarrassed? That's like, I did say that to Hannah a few times. I was like, I could go here and get embarrassed. And I was like, no, I'm not. I just had to get myself back in and just go, no, you're meant to be here. You've done it twice now. And you won Manchester. Like, that wasn't a fluke. So I won 3 events.
You say something I thought was quite interesting there, and it's something that we've had a couple of guests on. It's not been mental health shows, but it's been mental health's been mentioned and all that. And your mental toughness there, you're saying, oh, I might get embarrassed. I remember looking back at my splits, like, because you get them pretty quickly when you finish the event. And then I remember seeing your name, and obviously I knew who you were because following you on Instagram. And I remember seeing your name and thinking, wow, that's dynamite. Like, this guy's proper. And you're still getting the doubts that because you're throwing out times that only a handful of people in the world can get right now. And even you're still going, hey Hannah, or what if I get embarrassed here? Like, what if I'm not good enough for this? But how do you bring yourself back away from that, having that self-doubt?
You just have to believe in yourself, really. You're like, I think it's just about having the right sort of mindset, and it's not like you just turn one day and that's you, you've got that mindset. It's just about working on it every single day to better your mindset. See,
you've mentioned your running being the bit you need to work on. Like, when I looked at my splits, and I like my rowing was for where I finished. Like, it's all relative, I suppose. Where I finished, I was an hour 22. Didn't know what to expect. I basically hadn't worked out properly in a couple of years, hadn't run in a couple of years properly. So I was really happy with what I had.
Definitely.
And I'd looked at, my rowing was decent. My ski was actually, for what I thought, was pretty good. My sled, push and pull were decent. And I don't know if it was tiredness when I got to it, but my lunges were a shambles. Like, I ended up like 7.5 minutes for the lunges. I was just done. What do you find difficult through the event other than the running? Or is there things that you think, I really enjoyed doing this? This is one I know I'll catch time on people if I need to, or I'll break away from people if I need to.
Probably rowing and wall balls.
Aye.
Rowing and wall balls is like my favourite part of the event. Wall balls mainly because you know you're finishing.
Aye.
But I just get a number in my head and I just try and fire through them.
What do you go for? Because I was that burst, I ended up doing sets of 10. But I did wall balls in the gym yesterday. I appreciate it's not the same thing, but I did a circuit and I was doing sets of 25 and it felt pretty comfortable, where I knew I could have went to maybe 40 odd. What number do you have in your
when I'm doing Hyrox?
Aye.
So I aim for minimum 60.
Really?
First go, I'll just pick it up and I'm like, don't drop until you reach 60. 60. But I think I got 63 or 64 in Manchester there. In Glasgow, I was about 62. Manchester, I think I was 60, bang on the button.
Really?
60 was a PB, but before that, it was like 50. It was my first ever.
See, in Manchester, you caught quite a bit of time on the wall ball, didn't you, right, to finish the World Championship? So I remember watching it and looking back, and you were maybe 10, 15 seconds behind people in front of you, and then the wall balls, you managed to jump ahead of them by a reasonable bit. Do you just do extra training on that and just try and blast away? Is it because of years of doing squats and stuff, you think you're just quite good at it?
I think it's a good mixture of having like good strength in your legs and your shoulders, and then good muscular endurance in your legs and your shoulders. But I always add in wall balls. Like, a session could start with me like 100 wall balls as part of the warm up, and then it could finish with 100 wall ball buyout.
Aye, that's just
way wall balls in between the workout. So basically,
I've got to the stage where I've kind of got a bit like that with my training, where I looked at that and thought I was really poor at it, and I'm still poor. But I feel like before, I didn't really do wall balls because I was like, I'm rotten at squats and I just know do it. Whereas now I put it into most of my workouts because I actually quite enjoy doing it now, and it's made a big difference to us. But on Manchester, you're having the kind of self-doubt stuff, trying to tell yourself you're going to be all right. What's it like on the start line? Because you know everybody, even you guys being the best in the world, get a bit caught up on the first kind of initial burst of the first run. What was it like starting on the starting line at Manchester, the World Championships, Elite 15?
Like, that's what I said to everybody. I just kind of become calm. Like, see, when it comes to the race, I don't see when I'm outside of Hyrox, like outside the building where it's getting ran. Like, I feel more nervous outside it. Then I come in and my heart rate actually gets lower. Believe it or not, I swear it's weird. And so when I'm on the start line, I just feel like, right, I'm calm. That's it. I'm ready to go. And I just think, you've trained this hard, like, just go for it.
That's what I was going to say. You've done everything you can do anyway.
There's nothing else you can do. You're here.
Was there, because you started off really well, I think, getting into the skier, you were like third or something like that, third or fourth.
Third or fourth, I think.
Is there any points of that you were thinking, I'm in my right shout a podium place here and I'm feeling really strong? Because you kind of dropped off a wee touch closer to the end, and then wall balls obviously pulled you right back into it. What was your thought process going through the whole thing?
The skier, like, usually I pull a bit better than that on the ski, but don't know what happened, but I was like, I don't know if it was the run, the 4.5 laps, because usually it's like 2.5 or else maybe 3 laps. But like it was like 4.5 laps every single run. And then I don't know if that was playing in the back of my head either, but I got on the ski and I started pulling like 144s just consistently. But I usually start off like 138 to 141 for at least 250 meters, and then I'll like no die off, but I'll kind of tailor it down a bit to like 144s, maybe 147 max. But I already started at 144, and it just felt as if it wasn't. I couldn't really go any faster, and I was starting to like overthink things and go, "Oh, you can't go too fast because this is the world's now. You're actually getting watched. There's commentators here. Like just pace it as best as you can, sort of thing."
That 7 or 8 seconds, ultimately, it could stop you from podium or something, but that 7 or 8 seconds could kill you and end the rest of your run. So I suppose you've got to pace yourself. What's it like with the other guys where you go like Hunter McIntyre and all that? What's it like with them before and after an event? How do you all get on with each other?
It's quite quiet. Like, see, for my first event, it's quite quiet. Like, see, if it was me, like, and everybody else was like, sorry, and I've already been in the Elite 15, I'd probably go up to most people, like, who's just new in, like, how you doing? Welcome, blah, blah, blah. But, like, maybe there was only, like, 3 or 4 of them that done that.
Really?
And I'm not bad mouthing any of the guys or that. Maybe they're just focused and that's it, because you know what it's like if, like, you're a top-level athlete. But for me, I would be like, welcome in, like, well done for making it. Hunter McIntyre was actually one of the ones who said, like, well done. For making it.
He does seem like quite a decent enough guy. I've seen quite a few things because I do like Hyrox, like I say, and I've watched quite a lot of stuff. Ryan Kent doesn't seem the best, to be honest. I may be wrong, but he seems very much like he'll just patch you.
He's driven, he's focused, but he was actually nice as well. He was brand new. He was nice.
I've misjudged him then. Before we finish up, because I'm conscious you need to go back to your work and stuff, but and before we talk about what your goals are, see with Hyrox, what do you think's going to be the future with Hyrox like? Because it only has been going for 6 or 7 years, and then you had COVID, which obviously hampers it as well. But it seems like you saw the crowd at Manchester was like 4,000 or 5,000 there, which is obviously a really big crowd. It seems to be growing, and you see CrossFit games where they've got the big stadiums in America, and it's like tens of thousands of people there. Could you ever see Hyrox progressing to that kind of level?
I honestly think it's going to take care.
Aye.
Like, I think it's going to take over because like it's just everybody likes to watch it as well, and there's like so many people, like everyday people that can just join in.
Aye.
Whereas CrossFit, it's like mostly elite people that you're watching.
It's much more relatable, I think. Hyrox, like we spoke about earlier, where you can push, you can pull, you can do squats. You might be slower, but you can compete. And like you look at it where Hyrox gets huge and you end up with like yourselves being like Matt Fraser and Rich Froning for CrossFit. I can say, well, I competed in the same place in the same day as Graham Halliday did, and it's like I saw him there. And again, it's like when I did the running, I saw Callum Hawkins, and for running terms in Britain, that's massive. And I was like, huge. I mean, I was meeting you away from at one point competing, and I think that's something that you don't get with CrossFit really elsewhere at other sports. Where like I'm a Celtic fan, I'm never going to be this far away playing a game of football with Callum McGregor. You know what I mean? So I suppose it's better that way.
That's true, actually. Never really thought it like that, but it's true.
It's good
eventually once it grows anyway.
Because you're still going to be in the same events, which is quite impressive. But for you, before we finish, with Hyrox, or we'll say, with Hyrox, what is your plan over the next year or two? What's in your mind? What do you want to do?
Like I'd like to be the world champion. That's the end goal, to be honest. Hopefully, I'd love to beat Hunter, but I don't know if I've got it in me this season. I'm obviously going to try. Like, that mindset doesn't hinder me or anything like that thinking, but I've just known, being honest and racing against him, he's in his own league right now, and that's just the way it is. But there's still another, but you've basically almost a full year, so maybe a year. Hopefully, I could beat him. That would be ideal before he starts to go away. Nah,
because he does that, doesn't he? He kind of picks and chooses certain things that he does. But I suppose he blew up recently, didn't he, in one of the events at the sled pool and just walked off.
I thought he did blow up, to be honest, right? Because I watched it live as well, and I was like, he's definitely blowing up. But then, see, when he raced in Manchester, I was like, maybe just because he said he gave up because he wasn't on track for a world record. And he didn't
Ronnie O'Sullivan type almost.
I know, exactly. But that's something like that. Like, at first I was like, nah, he didn't. And I was like, But Then when he went to Manchester, I was like, nah, he probably did
Nah,
just do that because he wasn't on target for a world record.
I suppose, and without it being disrespectful to you guys, because that minute or two is massive in Hyrox. He is that consistently that far ahead of the rest that he probably is competing against himself to try and get records, and like go he's 54-minute odd.
54 minutes.
I mean, that's just mental. It's insane to think that somebody can get that. But look, mate, I genuinely appreciate you giving up your time coming in to see us a day on your breaking in this lovely weather. You're missing it. A chance to get yourself mahogany again.
I know.
But look, mate, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Appreciate it for having me. Cheers.
No problem at all. Just want to thank everybody for watching the episode. If you could like the episode and subscribe to the channel, it makes a massive difference. And it's been a pleasure having a world-class athlete in the studio with us. So thanks for watching. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers.